Relax, old man. It's just for content. Those were the first words that echoed across the quiet park. Sharp, careless, and recorded for the world to hear. 16-year-old Laya Crawford held up her phone like a trophy, filming herself as she lifted her foot and struck a homeless man resting against a brick wall. Not hard enough to break anything, but just hard enough to make him flinch. Just hard enough to make it entertaining. Just hard enough to go viral. Behind her, her friends burst into laughter, cheering her on as if cruelty were a game. Laya smirked at the camera, fully convinced she had captured her next big moment. But what happened next was nothing she expected, and everything the internet would never forget. Before we dive deeper into this shocking case, hit subscribe to Case Closed, where real stories expose real consequences. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? The homeless man, Harold Hawk Dawson, 69 years old, disabled veteran, Purple Heart recipient, tried to pull himself up. His leg gave out. He fell back against the wall, face twisted in pain and humiliation. LaCoya kept filming. Judge Frank Caprio would later watch that video in his chambers. He would watch it 3 times, and each time his expression would grow harder, not with anger, with something deeper, something closer to heartbreak. Because Judge Caprio knew something Laya Crawford didn't. Something about her mother, Governor Melissa Crawford, that would shatter every assumption Laya had built her arrogance on. A secret the governor had been keeping for 2 years. A truth that would stop Laya's laughter cold and force her to see her mother and herself in a completely different light. The courtroom felt heavier that Monday morning. People whispered. Cameras from local news stations lined the back wall. Everyone knew who was coming. The governor's daughter. The viral video. The homeless veteran. Tell us where you're watching from and subscribe if you're over 50 and love real justice. Judge Caprio sat at the bench, hands folded, expression unreadable. He'd been a judge for over 30 years. He'd seen cruelty before. But this, filming someone's pain for entertainment, this was something different, something darker. The clerk stood ready to begin. Judge Caprio nodded once. "Let's proceed," he said quietly. Miss Ramirez adjusted her glasses and opened the file with practiced efficiency. Her voice was steady, formal, but even she seemed uncomfortable with what she was about to read. "Case number 2026 TR 99214, she announced. City of Providence versus Laya Crawford. Charges: assault of a disabled veteran, disorderly conduct, harassment, filming harmful act for online distribution, and resisting officer instructions." Laya Crawford sat in the defendant's chair, slouched and bored. She examined her nails, rolled her eyes when Miss Ramirez said, "assault," sighed when the charges continued. Judge Caprio's voice cut through the room. "Ms. Crawford, stand when charges are read." Laya sighed louder. Then she stood slowly, like she was doing everyone a tremendous favor. "Where is your parent or guardian?" Judge Caprio asked. "My mom's the governor," Laya said flatly. "She's busy running the state. She said she'd send someone." "She said she'd send someone?" "Yeah, a lawyer or whatever. Someone to handle this." Judge Caprio studied her carefully. "Handle this?" "Yeah, make it go away. That's what always happens." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Judge Caprio raised his hand and silence fell immediately. "Nothing goes away in my courtroom, Ms. Crawford," he said. "Not because of who your mother is, not because you want it to." Laya shrugged. "We'll see." Monday, 9:55 a.m., Providence Municipal Court. Case called, defendant present without guardian, Judge Caprio notes parental absence on record. Judge Caprio leaned forward slightly. Do you understand the charges against you? I guess, LaCoya said. You guess? I mean, yeah, but they're ridiculous. I was just making a video for my followers. A video? Yeah, it's called content. Everyone does it. Judge Caprio's expression didn't change. Everyone kicks homeless people for content. It wasn't like that, Linnea said quickly. It was a dare. My friends challenged me. It's a thing. The kick challenge. The kick challenge. Yeah, you wouldn't understand. It's a Gen Z thing. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. I see. And the man you kicked, do you know who he is? Linnea shrugged. Some homeless guy. He was just sitting there. His name is Harold Dawson. He's a United States Marine Corps veteran. He served 2 tours in Vietnam. He was wounded in combat and awarded the Purple Heart. He lost partial function in his left leg from shrapnel. The courtroom went silent. Linnea blinked. I didn't know that. Would it have mattered? Judge Caprio asked. Linnea didn't answer. Would you have kicked him anyway? Judge Caprio pressed. For the views? Linnea looked away. I don't know. Laya Crawford wasn't just entitled, she was calculated. Every eye roll, every dismissive comment, every mention of her mother's position, it was designed to minimize what she'd done, to make it seem small, unimportant, a joke that everyone was taking too seriously. She'd learned early that power protected her, that scandal could be managed, that apologies could be written by PR teams, and consequences could be avoided with the right phone calls. She thought Judge Caprio would be like everyone else, another adult who would back down when confronted with political pressure, another obstacle she could laugh her way around. It was a joke, Linnea said suddenly. He's homeless. He probably doesn't even care. He's probably forgotten about it already. Judge Caprio's jaw tightened, just slightly, just enough. You think being homeless means someone doesn't deserve dignity? He asked quietly. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Linnea shifted uncomfortably. I just meant it wasn't a big deal. It was like 2 seconds. I barely touched him. Judge Caprio picked up a tablet from his desk. He tapped the screen once, twice. Then he turned it toward Linnea. Is this you? He asked. On the screen, the video played. Linnea, approaching Harold, laughing, raising her leg, kicking. Harold flinching, falling. Linnea's friends cheering. The camera zooming in on Harold's face, confused, hurt, humiliated. Linnea's face went pale. That's taken out of context. What context makes this acceptable? Judge Caprio asked. Linnea said nothing. You posted this video, Judge Caprio continued. You captioned it, Homeless Man Challenge, Who's Next? You tagged your friends. You added laughing emojis. You got 17,000 views in the first hour. Linnea's hands started shaking. It was just for fun. Fun? Judge Caprio repeated. He set the tablet down. Miss Crawford, let me ask you something. Do you know what your mother has been doing every Tuesday evening for the last 2 years? The question landed like a stone in water. Linnea frowned, confused and defensive. She works, Linnea said. She has meetings. What kind of meetings? I don't know. Governor stuff. Budget, policy, whatever. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. Governor stuff. Yeah. Why are you asking me this? Because I want to know if you know your mother at all, Judge Caprio said quietly. Group chat. Squad goals. November 18th, 3:47 p.m. Laya just did the kick challenge, LMA. Oh, Madison, no way. Where's the vid? Laya posting now. Gonna go so viral. Kylie, you're insane. Laya, I'm iconic. My mom will handle it if anything happens. Madison, queen behavior. The side door opened quietly. No announcement, just an old man walking slowly, carefully, using a worn wooden cane. Harold Hawk Dawson wore clean clothes, donated probably, and his gray hair was combed back. His face was weathered, lined with years of hardship, but his eyes were clear and sharp. He walked to the front row and sat down slowly, wincing as his bad leg protested. He set his cane beside him and folded his hands in his lap. Laya saw him. Her face went white. She tried to hide her phone under the table like that would somehow erase what she'd done. Judge Caprio saw the exchange. He waited until Harold was settled, then spoke. "Mr. Dawson," he said gently, "thank you for being here today." Harold nodded. "Yes, sir. Would you like to say anything before we continue?" Harold was quiet for a moment, then he spoke. His voice, soft but steady. "I just want her to understand," he said. "I'm not angry. I'm tired of being invisible." The courtroom was so silent you could hear people breathing. "I served this country," Harold continued. "I was proud to serve. I came home with injuries, with nightmares. I tried to work, tried to keep my family together, but things fell apart. Lost my job, lost my home, lost my wife." His voice cracked slightly. "I ended up on the streets, and people look right through me, like I'm not human anymore, like I don't matter." He looked at Laya, not with anger, with sadness. "When you kicked me," he said, "you weren't just hurting my leg. You were telling me I don't deserve basic respect, that I'm just contempt." Laya's eyes filled with tears. "I just want you to see me," Harold said quietly. "That's all. Just see me." 10:42 a.m. Complete silence in court. Judge Caprio took a moment. Then he turned to the officers standing near the side door. "Officer Price," he said gently, "your report, please." Officer Daniel Price stepped forward. He was in his early 40s, calm and professional, with the bearing of someone who'd seen too much cruelty and refused to become numb to it. "On November 18th at approximately 3:30 p.m., he began, "I responded to a complaint at Kennedy Plaza. Multiple witnesses reported a group of teenagers harassing a homeless veteran." Laya stared at the floor. "When I arrived," Officer Price continued, "I found Mr. Harold Dawson sitting against a wall, visibly shaken and injured. Several teenagers were standing nearby, laughing and filming with their phones." He paused. "The defendant, Miss Crawford, was among them. When I asked what happened, she said, and I quote, 'We were just making a video. It's not illegal to touch a homeless person.'" A collective gasp filled the courtroom. I explained that assault is illegal regardless of the victim's housing status, Officer Price said. The defendant then said, "My mom's the governor. You can't arrest me." When I attempted to detain her for questioning, she resisted and tried to delete the video from her phone. Judge Caprio's expression darkened. "Did you recover the video?" "Yes, Your Honor. It had already been uploaded to social media. We obtained copies from multiple sources." Judge Caprio nodded. "Thank you, officer." Body cam audio, November 18th, 3:35 p.m. Officer Price, "Miss, I need you to put your phone down." Laya Crawford, "Why? I didn't do anything illegal." Officer Price, "You assaulted someone." Laya Crawford, "He's homeless. It doesn't count." Officer Price, "That's not how the law works." Laya Crawford, "My mom runs this state. Call her. She'll tell you to let me go." Officer Price, "Your mom doesn't give me orders. Put your hands behind your back." Laya Crawford, "You're making a huge mistake." Judge Caprio set the transcript down. He looked at Laya for a long moment, not with anger, with something closer to pity. Miss Crawford, he said quietly, you keep invoking your mother's name like it's a shield, like political power makes you untouchable. Laya crossed her arms. Because it does. Does it? Yeah. My mom knows judges. She knows cops. She knows everyone. One phone call, and this goes away. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. One phone call. Yeah. Miss Crawford, let me tell you what your mother has been doing every Tuesday evening for the last 2 years. Laya frowned. What are you talking about? Every Tuesday, Judge Caprio said, your mother drives to the Hope Harbor homeless shelter. She doesn't tell her staff. She doesn't bring security. She doesn't wear suits or name tags. She just shows up. Laya's face went pale. She serves dinner, Judge Caprio continued. She talks to people. She listens to their stories. She helps them fill out housing applications. She sits with veterans who have nowhere else to go. He paused. And she funds the shelter anonymously with her own money, not campaign funds, not state funds. Her personal savings, $20,000 a year for the last 2 years. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Caprio raised his hand for silence. Your mother, he said, looking directly at Laya, believes that every person deserves dignity, especially those who serve this country, especially those who fell through the cracks. Laya's tears spilled over. I didn't know. No, Judge Caprio said, you didn't, because you never asked. You never noticed. You were too busy making content. The back door of the courtroom opened. Governor Laya Crawford entered quietly, her face drawn and tired. She didn't sit, she just stood. Near the back, watching her daughter, Laya turned and saw her mother. Mom! Governor Crawford's expression was something between heartbreak and anger. I'm here, she said quietly, but I'm not here to protect you. I'm here to support the consequences you've earned. Like this video if you missed Judge Caprio. Voicemail from Governor's senior aide, recorded November 19th, 7:22 a.m. Governor, the precinct captain called. Your daughter was involved in an incident. They're filing charges. I know you usually want to be informed before things escalate, but ma'am, you should see the video. This is bad. This is really bad. Judge Caprio gave them a moment. Then he spoke to Governor Crawford directly. Governor, would you like to say anything? Laya Crawford stepped forward slowly. She looked at her daughter, and her eyes filled with tears. Laya, she said, I have spent my entire career fighting for people like Mr. Dawson. I have written legislation to protect veterans. I have secured funding for homeless services. I have tried to build a state where everyone has dignity. Her voice broke, and my own daughter kicked a homeless veteran for views. Laya sobbed. Mom, I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough, Laya said. Sorry doesn't undo what you did. Sorry doesn't erase the video that's been shared hundreds of thousands of times. Sorry doesn't heal the harm you caused. She took a shaky breath. I'm ashamed, Laya. Not because you embarrassed me politically, because you showed me I failed as a mother. I gave you privilege. I gave you comfort, but I didn't teach you empathy. That's not true, Laya whispered. It is true, Laya said. And now you have to learn it the hard way. She turned to Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I'm not here to ask for leniency. I'm here to support whatever sentence you believe is appropriate. My daughter needs to learn accountability, and she needs to learn it from you. Judge Caprio nodded. Thank you, Governor. He turned back to Laya. Ms. Crawford, he said, your mother is right. Sorry isn't enough. You need to show it. You need to understand the weight of what you've done, not just to Mr. Dawson, to every homeless person you treated as less than human. He opened the file in front of him. Here is my ruling. Judge Caprio's voice was calm, measured, surgical. Laya Crawford, he began, you are 16 years old. You filmed yourself assaulting a disabled veteran and posted it online for entertainment. That is not a mistake. That is a moral failure. Laya wiped her face, trying to hold herself together. You treated a human being like he was disposable, Judge Caprio continued. You exploited his vulnerability for social media clout. You laughed while he suffered, and you used your mother's position to try to escape consequences. He paused. But I'm going to give you a chance to become someone better. Laya looked up, hopeful and terrified. Here is your sentence, Judge Caprio said. You will complete 150 hours of community service with the Hope Harbor Homeless Shelter and Veterans Outreach Programs. You will serve meals. You will clean. You will listen to people's stories. You will see them as human beings. Latoya nodded quickly. Okay, I will. You will write a public apology, Judge Caprio continued. Not a PR statement, not something written by lawyers. Your own words. You will post it on every social media platform where you posted that video. Yes, Your Honor. You will pay $1,500 in restitution to Mr. Dawson for medical expenses and pain and suffering. Yes, sir. You will write a 10-page reflective essay on dignity, service, and what it means to be privileged. You will read it aloud in this courtroom in 6 months. Latoya swallowed hard. I understand. And finally, Judge Caprio said, you will meet monthly with the Providence Homeless Support Project. You will attend their education sessions. You will learn about the systemic issues that create homelessness. You will understand that people like Mr. Dawson are not content. They are human beings who deserve your respect. Sentencing Summary. November 24th, 2025. 150 hours community service. Hope Harbor Homeless Shelter and Veterans Outreach. Public written apology across all social media platforms on $8,500 restitution to Harold Dawson. 10-page reflective essay read aloud in court. Monthly meetings with Providence Homeless Support Project. All social media content depicting the incident must be permanently deleted. Follow-up hearing, May 24th, 2026. Judge Caprio leaned forward. Miss Crawford, I'm not punishing you. I'm teaching you. Your mother tried to teach you through her example. You didn't see it. So now you'll learn through service. He looked at Harold. Mr. Dawson, do you have anything you'd like to say? Harold stood slowly. He looked at Latoya, and his expression softened slightly. I don't want you to hate yourself, he said. I want you to do better. That's all. Just see people. Really see them. Latoya nodded through tears. I will, sir. I promise. Harold sat back down. Judge Caprio closed the file. We're done here for now. The first Tuesday evening at Hope Harbor, Latoya arrived early. Her mother drove her but didn't stay. This was something Latoya needed to do alone. Inside, the shelter smelled like soup and coffee. A woman with tired eyes met her at the door. You must be Latoya, she said. I'm Susan. I run this place. Hi, Latoya said quietly. Thank you for letting me volunteer. Susan smiled slightly. Your mother speaks highly of this work. Latoya's eyes widened. She really comes here every Tuesday? For 2 years. She's one of our most reliable volunteers. Latoya felt something crack inside her chest. Maybe shame or regret? Susan led her to the kitchen where a dozen volunteers were preparing dinner. In the corner, chopping vegetables slowly with his good hand, was Harold. LaToya's stomach dropped. "Mr. Dawson," Susan said gently, "your new assistant is here."
Harold looked up. His expression was guarded, but not unkind. "Hello," Laya said. Her voice shook. "I'm here to help, however you need me." Harold studied her for a long moment, then he held out a cutting board. "Start with the carrots," he said, "and you can tell me why you kicked me." Laya took a shaky breath. "Because I thought views were more important than people. I was wrong." Harold nodded. "Yeah, you were. But you're here now. That's something." Case follow-up log, March 18th, 2026. Laya Crawford has completed 98 of 150 required service hours. Staff reports exceptional attitude change. Harold Dawson has personally requested she continue working in the Veterans Meal Program. Public apology posted and well received. Mother continues weekly volunteer schedule alongside daughter. Over the next 5 months, Laya learned what her mother had been trying to teach her all along. She learned names, stories, histories. She learned that James was a former teacher who lost everything in a medical bankruptcy, that Rosa was a veteran nurse with PTSD, that Marcus had been an engineer before his factory closed. She learned that Harold had been a mechanic, that he'd owned a small shop, that he'd been sober for 3 years and was saving money to get a small apartment. "Why do you still volunteer here?" Laya asked one evening as they cleaned tables. "You could go anywhere." Harold paused. "Because these are my people. When I had nothing, they shared what little they had. I don't forget that." Laya was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry. I treated you like you were nothing." "I know," Harold said. "You've shown me actions matter more than words." Her mother came that evening too. They worked side by side in comfortable silence. Afterward, in the parking lot, Melissa put her arm around her daughter. "I'm proud of you," she said quietly. "I'm sorry it took this long," Laya said. "You're learning. That's what matters." They stood together in the cold November air, and for the first time in years, Laya felt like she understood what her mother had been trying to show her. Service, dignity, humanity, the things that actually mattered. May 24th arrived warm and bright. The courtroom was packed. Susan came. Harold came, walking confidently with a new cane. A dozen volunteers from the shelter filled the back rows, quiet and supportive. Judge Caprio entered, and everyone stood. "Please sit," he said. He looked at Laya. She looked different, grounded, present. She stood straight, made eye contact, didn't look away. "Laya Crawford," Judge Caprio said, "you've completed your service hours. You've written your apology, you've paid restitution, you've attended your meetings. Now, I'd like to hear your essay." Laya nodded. She pulled out 10 handwritten pages and walked to the podium. Her hands shook slightly as she began. "6 months ago, I kicked a homeless veteran for views. I thought people were content. I thought my privilege protected me from consequences. I thought dignity was something you earned, not something everyone deserved." She paused. "I was wrong."
About everything. For the next 15 minutes, LaCoya read. She talked about Harold's service, about the shelter residents she'd met, about her mother's quiet example, about learning to see people instead of opportunities. When she finished, the courtroom was silent. Then Harold started clapping. Slowly, the shelter volunteers joined. Then everyone else. LaCoya's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Judge Caprio smiled. "Well done, Miss Crawford. This case is officially closed." LaCoya walked over to Harold. She didn't extend her hand, she just stood there waiting. Harold looked at her for a moment. Then he smiled and opened his arms. LaCoya hugged him, crying. "Thank you for giving me a chance." "You earned it," Harold said quietly. "Keep going." Governor Crawford stood and approached Judge Caprio. She shook his hand firmly. "Thank you, Your Honor," she said, "for teaching her what I couldn't." Judge Caprio nodded. She taught herself. She just needed the right environment. The governor smiled. We'll keep volunteering, both of us. Good, Judge Caprio said. They need you. Outside, the sun was warm on their faces. Lakoya and her mother walked together toward the parking lot. Harold walked beside them, no longer invisible. Mr. Dawson, Lakoya said, would you like a ride? Harold smiled. I'd appreciate that. They walked together, three people who'd learned to see each other, not as governor, veteran, and teenager, just as people. And in the courtroom behind them, Judge Frank Caprio watched them go. He thought about privilege and pain, about visibility and dignity, about the moments that break us and the service that remakes us. He thought about justice, real justice, the kind that doesn't just punish, the kind that transforms. If you're someone who believes that real justice has no age limit and that doing what's right never goes out of style, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Case Closed for more powerful stories inspired by the fairness, humanity, and integrity Judge Caprio brought to every courtroom he entered. His legacy reminds us that justice isn't just about rulings, it's about empathy, accountability, and seeing the person behind the mistake. And remember, this is a dramatization created for storytelling and education, not legal advice and not an official judicial record. Thank you for supporting the values Judge Caprio stood for, and thank you for keeping real justice alive.